everybody, thank you to be here. We are back with Mihai. And the last time we say we maybe will speak more about karma because we was speaking about past lives and these kind of things. And something that I have is that in the West, we say every action has a consequence. Every decision, everything that we think, we do, produce a reaction. In other parts of the world, they have this particular concept, karma. I don't know if you can explain us a little bit more about this karma, and if we can change a negative karma to a positive karma, or if we can make that this karma help us to walk our real path. Yes, because we say sometimes we are walking in an accidental path because we are not, because we are under the kind of the law of negative karma, we can say, yes.
This idea of karma, and I'm a little rusty with the history of religion and traditions, but definitely prior to Buddha, in the Hindu, in the Vedantic, and it carried with Buddhist teaching, and in Tibetan, so very much in the East. But at the same time, you know, it appears in the Christianity as well. Maybe it's not spoken as the word karma, but at the same time, the essence of the teaching or the pointers towards that guidance to avoid suffering is in the Bible, in the way like you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow, and you know, these things like treat others as you want to be treated. You know, treat others as you want to be treated, and even these things like. So I believe that although, at least in the form that Christianity survived after it's been translated and distorted, this actually the golden rule that apparently in almost all serious spiritual traditions or religions, this kernel of truth appears there, that do unto others as you want to be done unto you, treat others as yourself. This would be an advice coming from the prophets, or an advice for life. And this is very much based on how to diminish the effects of negative karma, how to have less suffering. So I see no contradiction there. And I guess I'm very much now into resonate with this Advaita Vedanta non-duality, and there the theory and the teaching is that to do some type of work and to meditate or do self-inquiry or various techniques or various contemplations in order to discover that the whole universe and all the universes and the planets and all the people, they are all part of one thing. It's like one organism. The whole creation is one organism. And this one organism is God, or let's call it the Tao, or reality or consciousness. So And me, and like Mihai and Claudia and my cat and the mountains and the sharks and the whales and the turtles and all my friends and my enemies, they are all a little cell in this one organism. So that's the theory and the teaching of non-duality, which means that there's only one thing here and everything is this thing. So Mihai, although is different than Claudia and my cat, however, they are made of the same stuff, and it's let's say God expressing itself in the form of Mihai, in the form of Claudia, in the form of let's go all the way, form of Putin, in the form of Hitler. It's God expressing itself in this form, and yeah. And however, the people can be a different level of understanding. The seeming separate people, they're actually not separate, but they seem separate. And the more, let's say, unconscious we are or asleep we are, the more we see separation and me and them, and they are bad and I'm better, or they are upset, anger. There's this separation, and then the selfishness and whatever, superiority or judgment. But the more one sees this truth of non-duality intellectually and then to feel it, then basically one is naturally living according to this: treat others as you want to be treated. It's not anymore like a law. It's more like, yeah, it feels natural from the understanding that everybody is me or everybody is God. And so if I judge them, I judge me. If I trick them. So anyway, I'm trying to apply this understanding in my life, in business transactions, in dealing with people that I like, or people who piss me off, or people who are assholes. But still, I treat them with this kind of ultimate respect, benevolence, kindness. And this undoes karma. So I'm now I'm creating less suffering for myself,
Okay.
So I mean, I just wanted to go straight into, rather than what karma means and this or that, like as a way to apply the teaching, because I like to be practical.
For example, I don't know. I love to go to the Bible, like you say. I remember that, but I don't know if there can be applying the karma, because it's weird. Jesus went to the market and make a disaster. They express a lot of anger, in the market. I'd say in the temple, because the market was inside of the temple, I guess, or something.
Yes.
So this is a karma from the people that was selling there inside of the.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought this thing with Jesus being outraged. He was outraged and really pissed when he saw that, and this is a story, this is an allegory. We don't know what happened, but let's go with it. The idea was that there was the temple, the church, let's say, where in the Jewish tradition you are supposed to pray, to meditate with God, to go deep within oneself in that place. And I don't know what happened, but that was not happening. And instead of that, it turned into a mall. There was a mall, like a modern day mall, and a bank. Yeah. So Jesus goes there with his disciples to meditate, to tune into the whatever we call it, to commune with God, to go deep within consciousness. And now it's a mall and it's a bank, and he's pissed. Yeah, and he's expressing anger and rage and violence. He's aggressive. That's in the Bible. Say he goes and he shouts at them and he just breaks shit up and shouts at people. And okay, and on the other side in the Bible they say, hey, be loving and be kind and love your neighbor. And so how is that? Yeah, okay. And actually I thought of this when I said my last phrase. I was saying to be kind and loving and respectful, but in the back of my mind I had this thing, but it doesn't mean you can't have boundaries and you can't be angry. So anyway, let's solve this. You know, let's say if you have my teacher Francis would talk about this. Francis Lucille would say that, you know, for humanity, the totality of humanity that's not interested in esoteric truth and stuff, they need rules. So they have rules like, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. You know, yeah, okay. But as one actually goes really on the path, one needs to have more situational ethics, not just frozen ethics. Yeah, and so, for example, somebody comes in New Mexico, Mexico there, and then kidnaps a bunch of children, and then he wants from the cartel or whatever, and says, hey, I'm going to kill them if you don't release my boss or if you don't give me $2 billion. And then he's going to start shooting them, kid once every hour. Yeah? Scenario, this happens. Yeah? So then the SWAT team comes, yeah? And then there's the sniper and has the guy, and the sniper is a Christian now. Yeah? He goes to church, he's a Christian. And so if you were to go with like, thou shalt not kill, that is not loving. So the most loving thing to do for that situation is to kill that guy. Yeah, to save the 20 children. Yeah, so that doesn't apply. In the Nazi Germany, they come to me, the Gestapo comes to me and says, do you know any Jews in your neighborhood? And yeah, I know, they are my friends, and some of them are hidden in my house. I'm like, no, sir, I don't know. So I lie from love, from caring. Yeah, the same with stealing, you know. So all of this depends of the situation and depends where is it coming from. And coming back with Jesus and stuff, and anger. Yes, anger can come from ego, from taking things personally, can come from being reactive and being unconscious, yeah? At the same time, anger is a God-given emotion. So let's say, okay, the other day, I was walking in Nevada City here, and there's this guy, and comes to me with like, I don't know, with cigarettes, like, it's like, hey, take this, and he touches me, and I'm like, I feel this energy in me rising, which is natural, and I need this energy. I'm like, hey man, back off. And the guy keeps trying to give me this cigarette or something, And I'm like, hey man, back off, leave me alone. There's some edgy, yeah, to put boundaries. I need this. If I'm like, oh, hey man, sorry man, I love you man. Hey, do you mind if it's okay if you leave me alone? It's not gonna work. You know. Another example. Also, my teacher Francis used to talk about this. If I go around the street and I see somebody hitting a dog or hitting a child, I'm going to be very pissed. I'm going to feel outrage. Yeah? Why? Because God doesn't like that. This is not cool. And this needs to be stopped. I'm like, hey, stop it, man. Stop it. Don't do that. So, you know, they call this divine outrage. I'm outraged because that action is not aligned with love, with truth, you know. So yeah, so it's kind of relative. We can't put it in a box, in a rule. And yeah, be loving, be kind, but this doesn't mean to be weak. And sometimes the loving thing is to actually kill somebody. It's extreme, yeah, it's extreme. And to be pissed and to say, no, that's not okay. Don't do that, you know? Also, we are, you know, we are mammalians. I mean, yeah, spirit. We are spirit, and we are mammalians too. Yeah. So this is a mammal. The body is a mammal, and the spirit is here, and the mammal is here. I don't know however we want to put it, but it's a fact to me. And the mammal is wired, all the hormones and all the reaction and fight and flight, and it's wired from the divine to survive and to protect oneself when one is threatened, and to protect the family when one is threatened, and to fight, to flee, to escape. And these are all mechanisms from in our brain, which is created by whoever created everything. So it is absolutely natural, and somebody is threatening your life or your kid's life, to do whatever it takes to survive and to protect. That's what the tiger does. That's why the deer does. That's why we are not. Yeah. We have all that, and we have a little bit more than that. We have cognitive. We have sophisticated other processes, and we can develop self-consciousness too. And also, you took this. I says in this context, and then you took it and you make an exception out of it. So I agree with you. Honesty at all times with everybody. That's what Gurdjieff was saying, which I respect. This is stupid. Honesty at all times with everybody is stupidity. And I'm not talking about saying everything what comes in my mind and saying everything to everybody all the time. That can be stupid and unloving and unnecessary. And also, you know, there are various. We live in this world which a lot of aspects of this world and important aspects of our life, like the government or the medical system, or I'm sure that they don't have my best interest in mind. Mm-hmm. They don't. So being being fully honest with them, they would be stupid. Okay, but I was just talking about this context. Okay, yeah, like, okay, I have an intimate relationship with a partner. This is my partner, let's say, yeah, and then I'm going, then I sleep with someone else. I feel bad. I come back. I lie. I continue as if nothing happened. This is not going to go without consequences.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a lot of inner torture for me, whether I'm aware of it or not. She's going to feel me, this or that. So in this context, this will create negative karma, suffering. This will create suffering, and I'm going to be stuck in some suffering until I see what I'm doing. I see, you know, that's part of undoing karma, is to start to not just, oh, I'm trying to be a good boy and not to lie and not to, no, I start to understand the impacts of my actions. What's the impact on this, on my relationship, on me? So I guess let me more awake, wiser, and I act more from wisdom. Yeah. So it's relative. I'm not saying to be like just blank slate, telling the truth all the time. No way, no.
Yeah, like you say in the beginning, no, to have some conscious about what you are going to, how you are going to react, no, how you are going to tell things. Yes.
But yeah, like, yeah, and then the guy would say, well, yeah, but you know, if I tell her, she will be upset and this, but yeah, it's all selfish. Yeah, okay. Well, but she deserves to know who she is with. And she deserves, if you were her, you would like to know what's happening so I can make wise choices about my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, this thing like business transactions, you know, there's like, you know, the more one awake one is, the more, so I'm not tricking people in business transactions. I'm doing the best I can to be honest, as if I'm doing business transactions with myself, because that is the fact, that is what's happening. I'm doing business transaction with myself. So if I'm lying to them, I'm lying to myself. Things will line up to be smacked, to understand, to see that, man, this is not working. And I'm telling you now from experience, from having run pattern of unconsciousness, deceptiveness, lying, stealing, that were coming from some innocent, wounded part, but it's just made my life so hard. And as I started to clean them up, my life got much easier and better, and less problems, less stress.
Okay.
So treating others as you want to be treated is a good way to diminish negative karma. And you can do that initially as a guideline from Jesus. But as we go deeper on a spiritual path, it's like it makes a lot of sense. It comes from within, you know? And of course, treat others as you want to be treated. If me comes to me and is going to lie to me and trick me and steal from me and be mean to my partner, how do I want to treat this? I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Get away from me. This is not okay. Back off. I'm going to call the cops. And I'm going to slap you too. Because that's not okay.
Is it really reactive? But it's okay. Yeah. I don't know. I just like okay.
And I had this pattern too, which I guess, you know, we all are aware of this. So first of all, there can be some myths about what it means to be more awake. So there are some myths and misunderstanding, like, oh, don't be reactive, and an awake person is all the time calm and nice and slow, and then so that's bullshit. You know. Also, many of us, we were hurt by people who are unconscious, who are angry. Yeah, like the dad shouting, or people being angry, destructive. This male usually, but even female, just lashing out with anger. So for me, as a young boy, I was exposed to this, and I thought, man, this is terrible. I never want to be like this. I will never be like this. I need to control my anger all the time. To have this anger is weakness. It's terrible. So, I reacted to a type of, I associate as anger as being bad. So then I developed all of this mechanism to repress my anger, and which came from a good intention, not to hurt people, not to be like those people. But at the same time, anger is not always bad. Anger sometimes is used. We need it. Otherwise, wouldn't have been here. We need it. So it depends what is using the anger. If I'm hijacked by it and it comes from ego, or if it is the right response from the truth, So I needed to do a lot of work to rescue my anger, to bring it back online. But I'm not an asshole. I'm not mean to people. I'm not. And for instance, I went recently to Romania, and I stayed in a line. I was in a line. There's a queue. That's how it's in Romania. There's a queue. You wait in line. And so I forgot. I haven't been there for a long time. I forgot. But like, people come and they get in front of you. And they're like, hey, they sneak in. And I could see me. I could see the pattern. I could see this good boy. Avoid conflict. That has the pattern of avoid conflict, be nice, be polite, don't bother people, don't express anger. Which in the past I would be like, it bothers me, but I don't say anything because I'm shut down. And then people come, take advantage of you, do all these things. And that's not love. That's weakness. I'm weak. Anyway, so this person comes in, and I could see the program, but then I was like, hey, we are all in line here. Can you go back to the end of the line, please? It was a little edgy. I didn't curse her. I didn't hurt her. I just used the right energy. And she was like, oh, and she went back in the line. That was great. I was like, yeah. Nice. I was like, whoa, yeah. So if I were to go to her and say, hey, sorry to bother you, no, it's not okay. It's not going to work. I needed that edgy energy. However, I wasn't out of control. Mm-hmm. It was the right energy in order to, like animals in nature, when they fight, they don't go and kill each other. They're like, and they're like, okay, that's very peaceful. We got it. Okay, back off. I back off. I can say something here, just one, like a little bit, that's interesting. Yeah. So about this karma and about this morality, yeah, there's, karma, morality, ethics, rules of society, conscience. How are they connected? Yeah, because they are very connected. Mm-hmm. So in Tao Te Ching, the Lao Tzu has a a line there, I forgot it, but it's something like, in the old times, which meant in an ideal world, in an ideal society, if this were everybody to be conscious, everybody were to be awake, there would be no need of rules. There were no laws. In the old times, there were no laws, and everybody was acting in according with the Tao. Like, if everybody were conscious and awake, then there's no need of rules, because and laws and the commandments, because at that level of consciousness, one will naturally treat others as oneself, and one would not create any harm. Yeah. However, when people lose, what Lao Tzu would say, when people lose the understanding or lose the Tao, so they are disconnected from truth, then you need laws and rules and all of that. Yeah. So very often in the history of humanity, there was a prophet like Muhammad and whatever, Krishna and Moses and Jesus, which means that there was this enlightened being that started teaching some people, you know, and there was a small group, you know, so there was like kind of doing esoteric work and was teaching them how to wake up, how to become more conscious. Yeah. Now the teacher dies, and somehow, basically, it changes from being esoteric knowledge about the practical knowledge about changing one's level of consciousness. It becomes about what to do and not to do. Becomes as a rule, and it becomes a rule in society. It becomes a commandment. Now these commandments are useful. You know, it created an improvement at the level of society when this Christianity came in, because instead of torturing people and killing them, and they became more kinder and more forgiving. Yeah. So basically the rules and the frozen commandments, they have a civilizing effect on society. So make society a little bit better. Now, this being said, it becomes formatory, becomes rigid, and there's a lot of problems with it, and it becomes like right or wrong. Yeah. But my point here, as we do real spiritual work, and we heal our wounds and we become in touch with conscience, conscience is God-given apparatus in our heart, which feels what is right in a certain situation. It's not frozen, as I said, it's not all the time like this, but it is what's the most loving, the most harmonious, the most truthful, authentic response to this situation right now, coming not from conditioning, not from rules, coming from awakened heart mind, as they say in Zen. Yeah, so it is spontaneous, it is customized. Yeah, and sometimes that will be to say something, sometimes will be to say nothing, sometimes will be to be kind, sometimes will be to be firm. Yeah, that's alive conscience, and it's aligned with the with the divine compass, so to say. As long as this is not available, it is useful to follow some guidelines, like, hey, don't be mean to people, don't steal, don't lie, you know, forgive. Yeah, so this is a way to, the teachers, out of compassion, they would say, hey, don't do these things. Why? because actually you are going to suffer, man, if you do those things. So yeah, so let's say in my life, at some point I got inspired with the teachings of David Hawkins, and then he was teaching this thing. He was giving some guideline. He would say, hey, it's a good method to work on yourself is to align with loving kindness and to cultivate an attitude of benevolence towards all life, to have goodwill and to be kind and helpful towards all life, including yourself and the insects and the spiders. And to have, this comes from a reverence of life. And he will say, try to do that the best you can. And whenever there is something which is unloving or something, that's something you can look at that and process it and let it go. He will say this, practice this benevolence towards all life. He will make the caveat too. Hey, this means that it doesn't mean that if your husband is abusive, then you need to call the cops and tell them to get the fuck out. Tell them, get away from here. So he had this caveat, yeah. So I don't know, because I really felt his wisdom and I felt his love that inspired me. I was like, yeah, man, I like that. I like that. I'm going to do that, man. It felt good somehow. It went into my divine guidance and it was like, yeah. So I started to do that more and more. And I was doing it as a practice, as a method, because David Hawkins said that, and because I trust him, it was as a method. But later I could see that actually it comes natural, it's natural. And it feels wrong. I could see that whenever I would not be that, I would be a little harsh or a little bit deceptive or a little, my conscience will nag me, So now I can see that, yeah, he was right. He was giving some method as a guidance, but the more awake we become, let's say, this becomes natural. As Lao Tzu said, in the old times, you don't need the rules and guidelines. You are doing it spontaneously. So that's my last thing on karma.
Well, also, I don't know if you verify what I don't know if what I will say is true or not, but I remember that every time that I like a kind of behave in a way of the loving presence, like more kind, my body transformed,
What?
My body transformed, like I begin to be like, my skin begin to be soft, nice, everything in me begins to be like my hair to be different. I mean, and every time that I begin to hide or to go in the direction of the darkness or these things like that, I feel like my skin begin to be like really hard, or I have I have things somewhere, or I get a little bit fatty or something, what's something there. So I think it is really also connected directly in our bodies, yes? The karma or the behavior. I mean, it's not only in the external.
Yes,
series.
I mean, the Dr. Yamamoto, I believe, with the water crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and did all these experiments, and you will get these rice seeds, different jars, and they will do the experiments for a few weeks. One jar will say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Another jar will say, I love you, thank you so much, thank you, I love you. And the other jar, nothing. And after a week, they could see that just to the power of thought and intention, one jar was getting rotten, the seeds were not growing and rotten. The other ones that got love were growing faster. faster and vibrant, and the other one was the regular rise cycle. Yeah. So basically, the idea that these thoughts, when we have these thoughts, we are shooting them in our inner water. Our body is made of, I don't know, 70% water, so it's like a spell. Yeah. So it responds. You know, I want to make a distinction here, because things are not so black and white. You know, due to wounding and various things and trauma, we, as you know, from the Killaby work, Scott Killaby inquiries, we have repression. So in my case, I repressed anger. So it was not allowed. Yeah. And so then developed this good boy that's not what Jesus is talking about. Yeah. So while practicing loving kindness and benevolence towards all life, also I needed to do some other type of work to no longer repress anger and to be able to have anger online, to use it when necessary. And so I needed to do a type of work for some time where from the outside, it wouldn't seem that's like very loving. So I needed to make conscious certain feelings that I had, which I would press down, like that I'm angry, I hate you. So somehow, but I was doing it, that is not to land there, but more like to undo a repression mechanism. Yeah.
Yes, to take it out from the body, because you are like put it inside of your body with your subconscious. I mean, like you don't know that you hate yourself, you know? So you have to take it out. Yes. Like write it in a paper or something, and you know, oh my God, is really that inside of me? And then it's like then you
because you know, even with parents or something, I had to go deep and see that deep down there was this, I'm angry with you and I hate you. And all my spirituality before was like, hey, don't go there, this is not spiritual, let's not be nice. But I had this being nice and being loving on top of subconscious hate. And so the result is that I will be nice and kind, but I will be triggered all the time. So what I'm saying is that I needed to make conscious this energy, which comes from was hurt or upset or something. And by making it conscious and allowing it, it moves. And then actually I can have much more acceptance. If I allow myself to feel the hate, in a ritual container, meaning I'm not going now to people, I hate you, fuck you, I hate you. No. With my facilitator, with my therapist, in a group, shadow work, gestalt, whatever, I allow myself to go into that, then that is going to transmute. And then it's going to change into sadness, into fear, into this. And then it's going to dissipate. So I can have now much more acceptance and genuine acceptance and kindness towards the person. Yeah. So I just want to bring this in, because if I just stay with like treat others as you want to be treated and be loving, kind at all times, that can contribute to repression. So, you know, there's no recipe, do this. One needs to do, from my experience, many types of spiritual work, psychological work. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a complex business.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you do this work of I hate you or things like you observe these, I mean, you also have to be really aware of awareness, you know. You really have to be like, to know that God is there, and you and that is the first thing that you are going to hold on. Yes. When you are doing this work, because if not, you are going to be like totally bypass, like traumatized by your own shadow. So, you know.
Yeah. That type of work that I talked about, the repression work. It's pretty edgy, and it can be destabilizing if one doesn't have a strong foundation of awareness, of mindfulness, of presence, and also with which means that there's this understanding that this emotion is not me, this thought is not me, but however, I want to allow it though, as part of the healing process, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the New Testament was compiled 800 years after Jesus died, and it was compiled by a bunch of people high up in the church, some of them wise, some of them maybe not, I don't know, and they took like hundreds of gospels, and they decided which ones are the real ones, and they put them in the New Testament. And then all the other ones, they said the other ones are bad, don't study them, they are forbidden. And then they wrote them in Greek, I believe, although Jesus spoke in Aramaic. Yeah. And then this was translated a bunch of times, and then the King James Bible was now translated from other translations. So now, if you take out from the New Testament only quotes from Jesus, yeah, just what Jesus said, you will have about 10 pages of Word document. 10 pages of Word document. So what do you expect? Of course, it's incomplete. There's distortion. There is this, you know. So it's hard with you know. Somebody was saying, a teacher I know who, like, you know, the dead teachers are safe because you can't ask them questions. They can't call you on your shit. You know, the dead teachers is hard to kick ass. So it's good to have a living teacher that is alive in the body. You can ask questions. It can correct some distortions and can say, hey, you are fooling yourself, man. You know, of course, I know people will be upset with me. And yes, I know that, and I sense, and I know it's true that the Jesus influence and his spirit, or Ramana Maharishi's spirit, that, and maybe Gurdjieff's spirit, they transcend the death of the body, and they may be available to attune to. I recognize that too, yeah. But one can fool oneself and deceive oneself just following books and something that are distorted and translated, yeah.
Yeah, I will say also something about the spirits. I think also I verify that it's weird when I have more like silence heart, silence mind, and like my heart is more in peace. You know, I'm more transparent, and sometimes I have this connection. Yes, like I can hear this. I will say higher voices, beautiful and kind. Maybe they are kind, some, maybe others are not so. But I mean, you are more connected with that realm, yes? And
Yeah.
It's more, I mean, it's, you begin to experience more deep what is life, yes?
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. You know, as a result of consciousness work, the mind gets more quiet. The heart has less conflicts with people and less disturbance. It's less static, quieter. It's a result of meditation and processing our ego and traumas. It's more quiet, more receptive, sensitive. We are more open to higher influences. And on this note, I can share with you something that one of my past teachers said, Laura Lucille, that she learned from one of her student teachers, Lester Levinson. She was saying this, yeah, quiet your mind and like quiet your heart like this and meditate a little bit, and then call on Jesus if you want, call on Ramana, on Lester, but really call them like with this conviction, as if you are inviting a friend for coffee and he's going to come. Have this conviction, and then wait, you know. So sometimes I did this. I remember even like a few weeks ago, I had a book from Lester Levinson. I never met him, but I don't know. I was influenced by his teaching, and I remember what Laura said, and I don't know. I just quiet down, and I took the book, and I said, Lester, I love you. Thank you for all your teaching. Thank you for all you've done, and I never met you, and you're still here. I want to connect with you. I'm open. And I really felt that. I mean, I was like, I was quiet, and I felt like even now I feel this like love connection, and I opened the book at random, and it's like, hey, whatever I need to hear now, whatever, you know. And it's like, oh wow, yeah, thank you. So anyway, this thing, like, quiet your mind, quiet your heart, whatever works, and then call upon them. Maybe use a book. That's a cheating, I guess, but hey, see if I'm calling them for coffee, like a friend. They will show.
Yes. Thank you, Mihai, and thank you all the ones that can come to watch the videos. And please subscribe if you like the topics, and give the thumb up if you like these topics. Thank you, Mihai.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.